Welcome to today's video, and today we're going to look at how to do the analytic overlay of the composition, and also how we might go about doing the drawing from other tradition. Okay, so as I asked you in the workshop handout, I've asked you to shrink your existing drawings down a scale to 1:5, so you can start to test out the geometry of the components and see what kind of order, what kind of logic is that orders the shapes together and their various apertures inside them. So I've done that with the blue foam object here. So here's our now familiar blue foam object. I've drawn at different scale a plan, a section, a long section, an elevation, a section again, and another elevation, all of them kind of coming off the model, to try and analyse the geometry of this to see what is the ordering principle behind it. So once you've got your drawings reduced, this is the time where we can actually start to use our butter paper or lunch wrap, whatever you've got, to try and start to draw over these, to try and tease out from this structure, so we'll model here, the logic behind its shape and form. So one of the things we can see already in plan is that it's made of a series of squares. Okay, so we're going to draw those first and test whether those squares might be a kind of rationale for the next bit of space. Looks pretty close to being a square there as well. Okay, so we give that dimension x and x. We can then start to look at how these x's start to describe the space here. Okay, so this is going to be a matter of testing things out. So what we actually found out now is that this space is a y, this is an x, and this space here is y. Okay, so the architect who designed this has actually got kind of two modules here, kind of 1, 1, 2, 2, x, y, x. And we'll start to see if that now plays out further. Can these be found elsewhere? Let's have a look at these side walls and see what they are. Yeah, great. So we can now see that these are, in fact, a quarter of that dimension, so they become a quarter x. So we'll know now that that's a quarter x. Okay, let's draw something here and here. Let's see what these measure out to be. Look at that, great. So that is half x. So what we're starting to show here, let's have a look at our circle in the middle. It looks like it's going to be y as well. Okay, so that's y half x. So in plan, if we draw the lines out, the major organising lines of this object, we can start to say that that is y, x, x, half x, y, y, quarter x, and x again. Okay, so now this starts to understand the logic the architect used when designing this blue foam object of the ratio between sides, x, y, and quarter x. Let's try that now in section elevation. Let's see if those geometries work as well. Okay, so here we go. It's looking very close there, isn't it? We know that that is x. Let's test it against this. Not quite. Okay. Let's test the triangle. No. of the triangle is y. So the height of the triangle is y. So that works. And we get a height which is not quite cubic, it's an x plus something. Okay, so that we can start to then draw this up in plan and say sectional elevation, which talks about this as a quarter x, a quarter x, which we've got from here. And then we've got this triangle here, which is y high and x. So between these two variables, x, y, their half and their quarter, we start to describe the dimensions of this object. So that's the initial stage. This is what you're doing in the workshop on Wednesday and Friday. And then the task will be after that to draw that up neatly as an ink drawing. Okay, it's a set of kind of parameters that describe the geometry and the module of the composition. And I'll insert after this little bit of video an example or two of that, about now. Okay, so there you saw some churches, some Baroque churches from Italy that use geometry to define the shape of the domes and the plan of the buildings. Right, the second thing we're going to look at this week is to take on a drawing from another tradition. Now what I've used here is this wonderful drawing by the architect Aldo Rossi, who also happens to be the architect of this blue foam object that I've used this semester so far. Now this drawing is really fascinating for a number of reasons, because it's actually a composite. So a fantastic project. It's a cemetery in Modena in northern Italy, and it's a cemetery and ossuary complex. And I like this drawing because it's a composite. It's a composite of various types of drawing elements. And we can see what those are here. We've got plans, obliques, elevations. We've got an elevation here, got an elevation here. Here, this is a plan. Okay, this is a wall in plan and the shadow being cast. Here's another kind of oblique, another kind of elevation oblique, a plan with its shadow being cast, section, section, that describe various aspects of this building, which I'll show you some photographs now. Okay, so there were some images of it. You can start to see this wasn't completely finished. This was never built. This ossuary and chimney. The chimney was never built. The ossuary was. Okay, so the first stage of what you want to do is to do a kind of an analysis overlay of this that talks about the kinds of drawing that you have in your building and your types of drawings you have in your kind of composite drawing that I've given you. So here we have an elevation. And that's at one scale. We also have another elevation here. Which is at the same scale. We've got a plan, a fragment of the plan here. You can see that that plan relates to that. There's that plan. That's the chimney. It's a different scale to this. You can see that the width of that chimney is not as wide as it's shown here. We also have a section through that chimney, and obviously because I know this project reasonably well, I know that that's a section through the chimney, and that width matches that, so we know that they are the same scale. Okay. Over here we have another elevation. Okay, and then an oblique here. You can see here the projection behind of this elevation, which is this rather straightforward mono-pitched building that goes around the perimeter, is actually in oblique here. And these are the same scale as this. Okay. but not the same scale as this. You can see that's that cubic building there, not the same dimension here. But that and that are the same, so whatever scale this is, that's the same there, that's the same as that. So these are all 1x, whatever that is. This one I couldn't find actually. I couldn't work out where that section was. It might be a section through this, through one of these buildings, or actually no, it's through here I think, through there. Okay. But that's not at that scale. So there's something funny going on here. And finally, we have an elevation or oblique at the bottom here. This is the plan, is the whole thing, which is plan Y, they match. So elevation or oblique, again, it doesn't match either one of these. Now, it's obviously too big to be this. And so that's another scale altogether. And that's another kind of oblique. It's a different projection angle to this one here, which is an elevation of oblique. And here we have an elevation again. So, looking at this magnificent drawing that brings a whole lot of things together, you can start to, once you've done an analysis, get an idea of how you might start to frame up a composite drawing. At 1, 2, 3 different scales: elevation, oblique, different kind of oblique, sections. There's the great shadow drawings that Rossi does, he becomes famous for, that give you an idea of volume. You can see those on the elevation here. You start to see the shadows being played out there, the shadows here. So, once you've got this analysis drawing of your existing drawing, and then you've got your elements that you've drawn or redrawn, you can then start to compose a layout of a drawing that looks to put elements in. And here's one I prepared earlier. So what I've got is I've got the plan at one scale, which is 1 to 1, and then I've got my section at 1 to 2, and I've made an elevational oblique at 1 to 2 as well. Okay, so there's my LE oblique at 1 to 2. And I might now consider another drawing, a different type of drawing again, that sits in the bottom of this. So we'll use this as the kind of the basis. And thinking about this drawing here, and we'll try another kind of oblique drawing at the bottom here. So let's start with this. You might actually make a strange sectional oblique. Through the section here. And go back and backline this. Okay, there's another drawing of that, and finally we might kind of end with a section here. The elevation behind. So you can start to see that at 1 to 2, 1 to 1, 1 to 2, we started with our drawing I'm going to give you. We've done an analysis of that, thinking of what's in components, and we propose another drawing that goes on top. The final stage for this is obviously to draw this up as per an A3 hardline pen and ink drawing at scale. Okay, good luck. Look forward to seeing you in workshops this week.